I remember the first CD that I got was from my cousin Emma, and she'd bought me, it was Brian, oh no, was it Brian Adams? Yeah, it was Brian Adams, I think. I think, was it Everything I Do It For You? I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, she bought me my first CD, and that was the only CD I had. And I did start to collect CDs after that, but they were quite expensive, so there was still quite a lot of mixtape action going on. And also the collecting of vinyl, which I was doing at that time at car boot sales. So Sunday mornings I was going to car boot sales with my mum, and she was trawling around for teapots and bits of Staffordshire pottery and collecting all of that sort of rare pottery things, and I was just rummaging through boxes of vinyl. And mostly at that stage I was looking for David Bowie vinyl. One of the ones I remember I was most excited about was a yellow vinyl record of a concert. The guy who sold it had a lot of vinyl, so it was basically his whole stall was just vinyl. And I'd seen it the one week, and it was £15, which in those days, when I was 14, 15, was a lot of money. And so I didn't have £15 on that day, but I thought I would probably have £15 by the next week, because I will have got some money for my job, which at the time was making beds at Pontins holiday camp. So I knew if I came back next week I would have the £15, and I said to him, can you reserve it? You know, like, can you hold on to it for me? And he said no, because he's a mean guy. So I was just really eager all that week to wait and find out if I was going to come back the next Sunday and this piece of yellow vinyl was going to be gone or not. But it was there, so I bought that for £15. It was very exciting, and played that. So yeah, so then the mixtapes sort of changed a little bit after that, because once I started to get a few more bits of vinyl and a few more CDs, I started making up mixtapes from those things, or from other cassettes, like from cassette to cassette, because I had the double cassette thing with a recorder. And it became a bit of a thing between my friendship group to make mixtape cassettes, mostly just to share, you know, music that we liked. And we were all into quite a lot of different kinds of things, really. I was more into sort of 70s glam rock or rock band. You know, I liked everything that my parents liked, and I think that was true for a lot of us, really. And then we were kind of like showing each other, you know, what our taste was in music by making these tapes for each other and swapping them around. And I had a friend called Emma whose parents were really into folk music, so she was sort of bringing all the sort of Steel Eye Span and all of that to the table and sharing all of that kind of stuff with us. And then, you know, I liked Queen and David Bowie and the Eagles and, you know, Elton John and people like that. And then I had other friends whose parents were probably maybe a bit younger who were into more sort of indie stuff, and so they were like, we were listening to things like The Levellers and James and that kind of thing. That was probably in the sixth form, I'd say, so I would have been 16, 17. That was when we were all sort of swapping our tastes in music and introducing each other to things that we liked via the mixtape medium. And then I think after that, the mixtape thing sort of died a little bit. I do remember, the only other time I remember doing it after that was not a tape, because things went onto CDs then. And so I wanted to make a mixed CD of love songs for my very first proper boyfriend that I had at uni. And I didn't know how to rip a CD, so I had to get my friend Skelly, and I can't remember what Skelly's real name was now, but they used to call him Skeletor because he was really skinny, which is an awful thing when I think about it now. But anyway, so Skelly, he did the ripping of the CD for me, and I gave it to my boyfriend, who was not particularly impressed, I have to say. And we broke up not long after that. But anyway, I think that's probably the last time that I made anything close to being a mixtape, was that last mix CD. What does music mean to me? Well, I suppose it means everything, really. So I grew up listening to music, and it was on all the time with my parents, and they introduced us to lots of bands, loads of different bands and types of music. I mean, my mum liked anything from Glenn Miller all the way through to Duran Duran, so it was, a lot of different things, but most of what we were listening to at home was probably late 60s and throughout the 70s, that kind of era. And my parents liked live music, so they went to concerts quite a lot, and they took me to concerts as a young child, not too young I suppose, but from the age of about 10 I would go to things with them, and I love that sort of thing. So mostly it was Mum. So I went to see with Mum the Drifters, and that was in Lowestoft at the Marina Theatre. That was the biggest theatre locally for us. And then I also saw Mud at the theatre, at the Marina Theatre. And then when I got older, there was other things that we did. I think we went to see some sort of incarnation of ELO in the Ipswich Regent Theatre, and that was without Jeff Lynne at the time, because he was not touring or having anything to do with them. And then Mum and I went to see Engelbert Humperdinck at the Palladium in London, which was hilarious but brilliant. And then I went with Mum and my brother Scott to see Eric Clapton, and that was Wembley Arena, and that was really good as well. So lots of music really played a real big part of my life, always has done. And I think in some ways I've gone on to be a bigger fan of a lot of those bands than my parents were in the first place. So I've seen Fleetwood Mac more times than they have. I've seen Elton John, and that kind of thing. So they're things that I've gone and done on my own, really. I've gone on to go and then continue to follow those bands and watch them live. And we watched a lot of music documentaries on telly as well at home. We used to watch a programme, me and Mum, called Rock Family Trees, which was sort of like a historical thing, really, watching how certain bands evolved and changed, and this person leaves and another person replaces them, and that kind of thing, which the episode on Fleetwood Mac I remember being particularly interesting, because there were so many people joining and leaving Fleetwood Mac, and it's almost, I think there's one original member and then everybody else has, left and been replaced. And I love all that kind of thing. I love to know that stuff. And I think I would say that knowing a lot about different bands and music and things probably fits in with part of my what I'd call specialist interests as a person on the spectrum, as a person with autism. I get quite intensely interested in these things and the details of it all, and also the whole thing about knowing all the different kinds of audio equipment and collecting audio equipment. And even recently on my 41st birthday, I got some more Bang & Olufsen stuff for my birthday that Steve got off eBay, a new amplifier and that kind of thing that goes with the record player and other bits that I've got. I'm still kind of collecting audio equipment and collecting vinyl and listening to music a lot. I find that there's a lot of emotion involved there, lots of nostalgia involved there that can really change my mood. And Steve would say about me quite frequently that I'm music powered, so I can be in the deepest slump of depression, but if he can put the right song on, that can make all the difference. And so it means a lot to me, certainly. I think my standout moment with music was when I went to see David Bowie in concert. I was on my own. None of my friends were interested in the slightest bit in sitting on a coach and going from Lowestoft, which is the most easterly point in the UK, to London, which took hours on a coach to go to that. They were not interested. So I went on my own, and there were so few people even in Lowestoft that were interested in going that they didn't even send a full coach. It was a minibus of people who would be interested in seeing David Bowie in 1995, which I suppose is not the peak of his career, but there we are. So the tour that I saw was called the Outside Tour, and I saw him in November 1995. So I would have been coming up, I would have been 16. That's how old I would have been at the time. Yeah, and it was fantastic. And I'm so glad that I managed to get to see him. And I wish I'd seen him more times. Just recently, during lockdown, we were watching all the old Glastonbury sessions and concerts and things that they put on the BBC. And I did sit and watch the Glastonbury set that he did, I think, in 2000, I feel like, or 1999. I don't know. I can't remember now. But anyway, it was just incredible watching it, and I absolutely loved it, and I would love to have been there at that certainly. So they are all of my memories and thoughts about mixtapes and music in general.